Hello, my name is Jason and welcome back to I Have a Story. This video is about what's right in the title. What happened to my son? 1 year ago this week, my son reached out to me and contacted me, called me. I hadn't talked to him in a couple of years because of the alienation that he suffered from his mother, and then from my second wife, that what she did. Um, he reached out to me, Dad, I love you, I miss you, I want to come see you. Will you teach me this? Will you teach me that? We had a couple conversations, great conversations. My boy thinks a lot like me. Go figure. And then he just disappeared. My number apparently is blocked from his phone. I can't contact him. None of my calls will go through. None of my messages will go through. It's been like that for 1 year. What am I to think? Dad, I love you. I miss you. I want to come see you. I can show you the text messages while we're trying to plan the trip and get him up here to see me. And then he's just gone. What happened? I'm going to prove what happened because part of my original starting this channel, not only do I have my stories, I have the proof. I was gonna, this, this, I'm gonna be doing this very soon. As soon as I can. You want to see a history of cell phones and all the documents I kept from my first marriage and all that I went through. Right here's all my cell phones. Anybody out there know a cell phone museum who wants a history of cell phones? I have them. And these are some old phones going back. These are all my phones. I mean, all my text messages are in them. These are all some really old phones. And I kept all this so that I could prove to my son one day that it wasn't me, because he was told it was. I mean, how do you sit there and tell a boy his dad doesn't want anything to do with him when you're the one keeping him from his dad and his dad's trying to see him? I mean, I want my son to know the truth. Deep down, I'm sure he does somewhere, and he's already told me, and he's got to a point where he doesn't want to deal with it anymore. There's another slide flip phone. And then here's a voice recorder that Jenna Kowalski gave me because of what was going on with all of it. She said, you need to start recording this stuff. So I did. My son being abused, me reporting. I took him to the doctor's office when he came to my house one day. He was pooping himself, peeing himself. Go figure, just like Dad did when he got abused when he was a child, right? You guys see where all this makes me feel? So I take him to the doctor's. He tells the doctor about being physically abused at his mom's house. Doctor tells me, take him straight home. You call 911. You call Children's Services and get the investigation going. So I did. I recorded those conversations too, even with the police department, who made a bigger deal that I was recording the conversation than they did about my son being abused. The police officer who investigated the case with the doctor's office, who talked to a nurse who was not even on staff the day that I went in there and is not his doctor's nurse, but she didn't know anything about it. And so it must not have ever happened. If that something like that happened, she'd have known about it, right? And this is such a clown calamity. I don't even know what to call it anymore. I want to know what happened to my son. And on top of all of that, there's an entire box of documents I have to go through for that case. And I can't even read this stuff. Somebody's got to help me. I got my great big file of my son's psychologist notes from the counselor he was seeing, where she is telling him and the counselor that I refuse to see my son. I'm the one who refuses to pick my son up, and I don't want nothing to do with him while I'm fighting trying to get into his life. And she's not letting me. Me going to court and filing in court. Again, I recorded this. Me going into court, and again, she's friends with the referee in the court down there, so she gets special privileges, which is illegal. I filed that with the state of Michigan. They didn't want to hear it. That's why I'm recording and airing it all now when I'm doing it this time, because you're going to see it firsthand. And whenever, if they don't do their job and everything goes to hell, you're going to know why. So, I want to know, where's my son? And why is he gone again? I love you, buddy. I wish you a Merry Christmas, and I wish I could see you. So I'm going to be going through all this, and I might just kind of slow down on the other case. I think I've already aired enough to prove my point. There's a few more things I need to get out there with that. Um, God, I started going through some of this and bringing back all of that. It's so emotional having to deal with all of this. But I'm not going to just roll over and let it kill me because it's going to. I sit here every day just in turmoil over it every single day. Every breath I take, I'm in turmoil over all of this. When I did present this to the court, they didn't want to hear it and took my rights away as a father. Look, sir, I can prove that she's drugging him against doctor's orders, doctors yelling at her. I recorded it, and it's in his doctor's notes. Alienation, abuse. How about in his psychology notes, or counselor's notes, whatever you want to call them, that he hit his stepdad. Now, had they talked to me, they would have known that his stepdad had been hitting him, but they didn't talk to me. What's even worse is at that same exact counselor's office, I was being seen as a patient and telling them about the alienation and abuse on my son. The entire 100% reason I was there was because of the alienation and abuse that was taking place to my son and how it was affecting me, and trying to get help to get him out of that and all of it to stop. But guess what? They still couldn't put two and two together that we're both being seen by the same exact office. My insurance paid for all of that, and I didn't even know it was taking place. I found out because somebody told me in order for him to be on these drugs that his mother's giving him, they have to be administered by a psychiatrist or a counseling service, whatever professional. I'm assuming psychiatrist is typically who orders um, medications for mental health patients. But his mom lies to them. They never ever diagnosed him as being any sort of disorders other than this is in first grade she started this. They claimed him, and what they saw was he started school. His birthday falls in that spot where he could start this year or next year, and she wanted to push to get him in there this year because I still got to pay for daycare costs when he was going to school, and I'm picking him up from school, and I ended up paying her for how many years they wouldn't drop it because she said he's still going to daycare. Well, I can prove that he's not. Here's all our text messages. Here's all correspondence, obviously, of me picking him up, when I'm picking him up, when I'm taking him back. Here's my Google Maps location. You can follow me every day picking him up from school. They don't want to hear it. They still want to charge me. So I owe her $8,000 because I took care of our son. I've had it. I'm not going through this anymore. I'm not. That woman already got tens of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars above and beyond the legal statute. And I still am in debt for it. And then what's even more messed up is my wife now wants to claim that I refused to make those child support payments and she was the one doing it. Again, I'm glad I have these recordings and documented it. I aired one of the recordings and I was listening to it. I'm like, wait, right there's me telling her and her yelling at me for paying my child support. And this was just a few months before she ran off again, telling me, but yet she wants to use it in court that I refuse to pay my child support and I'm not. And she was the one paying it because I refused to, even though now I found it in that recording, her actually turning it against me that I'm paying my child support and me paying more than the minimum payment to get it paid off. I already aired that recording. Um, God, I'm so sick. I mean, do you know what this does to me? This is so sick and twisted. And I'm sick of it all of it. And my first marriage, I mean, God, what she did, having I pick up my son on my visitation time, scheduled court order visitation time, and she calls the cops and tells the cops that I kidnapped my son and I'm leaving the state. Fortunately, God bless that the first officer I came in contact with was understanding of the whole situation. Yeah, they monitor me. I said, go ahead. You guys can follow me around all day, monitor me everywhere I go. I'm not taking off of my son. I'm doing what I do every visitation. I'm spending time with my kid. No, I don't even know where it was all just a game. Or another time when the police actually came into my house and illegally removed him from my house. Yes, they did that all because she said that I kidnapped our son again. I have the recording where I called the court the very next day and said, "Where? What was this all about? Where did this even come from? What order is there that I can't have my kid now?" They told me there is none. There was no judgment. There's no nothing. What they did was wrong. The court told me that. I play the recordings of me constantly calling, reporting the abuse, reporting these situations, and the court just wants to take my rights away for doing it. That is wrong. I've had enough of it all. So now it's all coming out. Again, I've been documenting over 16 years of my life. You see it. Now you're going to be seeing it for real. I'm going to get these out there. It's a lot to go through. You wonder, with my problems that I have, and not just, my physical and my emotional problems, but I got to get through this and do it. I want to know what happened to my boy.